I appreciate them. I hope I hope our fans understand that. However many thousand, 10,000 show up November 3rd, I promise you, I'm trying to represent you the right way because you deserve that, and I'm trying to win at the highest level possible. This is the Pitino Show, hosted by Richard Pitino and Paul Fritschner, presented by Deer Park Roofing.
Welcome into another episode of the Pitino Show presented by Deer Park Roofing. I'm Paul Fritschner alongside the head coach of the Xavier Musketeers, Richard Pitino. And as always, make sure if you haven't already, you subscribe on YouTube, audio platforms, all that good stuff. If you haven't, make sure you do that because there's plenty more content coming throughout the regular season here, which starts in a week from when you all will be listening to this. We're recording this here 10 days before the season starts. And Coach, the show's out there. You have your own podcast and gives us an opportunity to preview the season. Welcome on.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, we're excited. The guys, like when you play that first exhibition game and they kind of see that, like they start to get their juices flowing a little bit. You know, the worst thing in the world is when you have this schedule of like 3 straight weeks of no games and all that. So I think they're getting excited about it.
Yeah, so let's start there with the exhibition game. You play Murray State. The scoreboard is what it is for an exhibition game. I think sometimes fans can get lost in the actual results of the game. And I want to start there because as coaches, you were always used to secret scrimmages or closed door exhibitions, those kinds of things where you could do whatever you wanted. Fans didn't see it. And if you lost or if you won, so be it. You knew, the other coach knew, that was about it. Now it's an open exhibition, which I think is good for the sport because you're promoting the team and everything like that. But on the coaching side, the fans do get to see. And if you don't win, you subject yourself to a little bit of that. What were some of your takeaways from that?
From that, I think the hard part in our profession is, I don't want to blame the media or fans, but I don't know if they're adapting to the new world and how it's covered and how they should approach it. Because the beauty of college basketball has always been there's only 31 games. Every single game counts.
Yep.
It's not like the NBA where, the Celtics lose at Sacramento and people go insane. Like they understand it's a long season. I don't think fans and I don't think media understand coach's mentality and the players with exhibition games. So that's the fear for us is like, because I thought the Murray State game was great for our team. I don't think there's this huge backlash that we lost. Maybe it's 15 people on Twitter, so It's not like it's a big deal. Sometimes you hear that and you think it's a big deal.
The vocal minority.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, I thought the game was great. I really didn't care to lose. Like, did I want to win? Of course you want to win, but like, man, I thought it was great to see some game pressure. You saw a couple thousand people in the building. The lights were bright. It felt like a game. We'll do a closed scrimmage next. Like, I like the open scrimmages better, but like, calm down with the graphics. John Rothstein, calm down with your epitome of brutality, all that nonsense. It's not a real game, even if you win. I was talking to Mario about the past results of Xavier in some of these games. So it's like, you take it for what it is, but you want people to talk about your program too. I mean, that exposure is good, but as I said, I'm not blaming the media, but the media needs to understand how to cover exhibition games and they need to understand how to cover recruiting. It's not recruiting anymore. Please stop saying it's recruiting. This is not recruiting.
What is it?
It's free agency.
Yeah.
The people with the most money are getting the best players, and it's just, that is what it is. You would never say, Miles Turner got recruited to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
You never say that, but we keep talking about recruiting. This is not recruiting, and that's fine. Like, I'm not complaining, but it just, this is free agency. There are no rules. And in the end of the day, the only way to really get the best players is to have the most money.
Yeah.
You look at our league, we go to Big East Media Day, and who were the 2 teams that were talked about the most? St. John's and UConn.
Yep.
Who are the 2 teams spending the most? St. John's and UConn. So it's, and everybody keeps getting mad at coaches because we sound like we're complaining. We're not complaining. We're trying to educate people because I know, come November 3rd, people are going to expect us to win. Sure. And We want to win. So, not to go on a tangent by any means, but
this is your podcast, Coach. You can do as many tangents as you want.
But it's our world is spinning as coaches, and you're starting to see coaches start to college football like they're getting way more vocal now than they've ever been before because this is absolute pandemonium. But coaches are still losing their jobs.
Yep.
I think everybody internally would admit it, but it's not stopping people from firing coaches. And the argument is, oh, they make all this money, who cares? Like, no, we do care as coaches. Like, we signed up to be college coaches, to educate, to be I'm not saying I blame anybody, but what I do know is everybody's scared to be sued, and nobody is having any stances on anything. So it's crazy times.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yep.
I think everybody, whatever place that you work at, needs to be super aggressive. I love the quote in Moneyball, adapt or die.
Yeah.
Like, no offense to all the traditionalists, but like, please don't tell me about what we did 20 years ago. It doesn't matter anymore.
So this shameless plug here. I do a show every day during the season called the Rebound Rundown. And this off season, I spent my time going around to some of the Midwest schools and talking with other coaches, seeing programs, things like that. And one of the shows that I did, the last stop we had on the little off season tour, was up at Toledo 2 weeks ago and talked to Coach Todd Kowalczyk. You guys are playing Toledo in that closed scrimmage that you just talked about. That'll be upcoming this weekend sometime. Secret scrimmage behind closed doors. Fans can't watch it or see it. But he was very complimentary of you in that interview, giving you credit for playing Murray State and for playing Toledo, a team in Toledo that I think was picked 6th in the MAC preseason poll, but has a lot of talent. Austin Parks is on that team, Ohio State transfer. Some really good players on that Toledo team. So what was your thinking in how you wanted to approach these 2 exhibitions before the season?
Yeah, here's the fear as a head coach going into year 1. Murray State's always going to be one of the best jobs in its league.
Yep.
They're notorious for Cinderella stories. Ja Morant went there. Like, it's always been a really good mid-major job. So they're going to come in here, and this is going to be, I don't want to say their Super Bowl, but like, it's going to be a big, big deal to them to try to get some momentum and all those things in recruiting. So it's like, for me, it's like, well, what's the upside? Because I know if we lose, everybody's going to clown Xavier on Twitter. But that's a temporary loss that goes away and it's irrelevant. So to me, I wanted to play 2 really good mid-major teams. Toledo has a little bit more continuity than Murray State because Ryan just got there. Todd's been there a long time. But I don't even know if we're allowed to talk about it, but whatever. There are no rules anymore, so who's going to get me in trouble about this scrimmage? But I know it's going to be a big deal to them, and they're going to give us their best shot. That's what I want. I don't care if we lose both games. I want our guys to be ready November 3rd when the games count. I think the question really becomes, again, do you do open scrimmages or closed scrimmages? And I don't know. I think I would prefer open scrimmages. I really would. But I also know momentum in this thing can also be taken away if you lose some games as well. So I'm excited about the game. I thought the Murray State game was also great for us.
I was going to say, did you talk to the players after that for feedback from them on, hey, you're finally in the Cintas Center, the lights are on, you're playing somebody whose name is not Xavier on the front of their jersey. What were some of the reactions that you felt from the players of getting out there?
Well, when I first walked in the locker room after the game, they had the look of, you got a new coach. So you're like, I don't know how to handle this guy after a loss. First thing I said was, I want to be clear. The game does not count. Like, that's a really, really important detail. The game does not count. I loved everything I saw from what you experienced. This is great for you guys. Jovan, it's great for you. You played in the pit last year to come into the Cintas Center, not shoot the ball well, and feel that. Roddy, you didn't play all last year. Like, it's great for you to see this. So when we go to the media and we speak to them, let's be very confident and clear. The game didn't count. Obviously we've got work to do, and we're going to take all this data and all the film that we see, and we're going to get better from it. And if we had won, I would have said the same thing. That's what I broke down that game, not by why did we lose. I broke it down by possession. How can we get better? And there was a lot of really good film on it.
Deer Park Roofing has been providing elite service for homes and businesses since 1996 and leads the industry in professionalism, quality, and responsiveness. So whether your needs are residential or commercial, Deer Park can handle any job and ensure it's done right. Deer Park's motto is protect what's important, and what's important to you is important to Deer Park Roofing. Visit deerparkroofing.com today. deerparkroofing.com.
All right, one thing, because as I said in the beginning, this is a season preview podcast, and we'll do that more so on the back half of the show. But one thing that I want to ask you before we get into that is about the G League and players coming from the G League to college basketball, and this gray area of pros in college becoming even more gray than it ever has been. Tom Izzo, as we record this yesterday, Tom Izzo was very vocal about this, and in a kind of pseudo press conference he gave. You saw coaches from all over the country, Scott Drew, Dan Hurley, guys on social media kind of endorsing that. It seemed like it was a pretty standard, coherent response from the coaching community that what are we doing here?
Again, I think I understand how hard it is for the NCAA. I don't want to sit here and just crap on the NCAA. We could do 9 podcasts crapping on the NCAA. We all know that. But I understand the problem that they're in.
Yeah.
They're not getting legislative support. They're not getting from the state level. Basically, when you open up the can of worms and say, if you limit their pay, it's essentially against the law, like everything's over. It's over from what it used to be. The problem that we all have as coaches is, again, we know come November 3rd, when we play the games, it doesn't matter how much money you have for NIL. It doesn't matter if you don't know the rules. The 10,000 people in the Cintas Center, they don't care. They just want me to win. It's never been harder to build a program. There are legitimately no rules. We are going to compliance, begging them for answers, and they don't know the rules. And it doesn't mean they're not trying to do their jobs. They are. But it's just this system right now of there's no salary cap. It is unrestricted free agency. And we're just as coaches, like, we're not the victims. Don't feel sorry for us, but also understand, like, this is the most ridiculous system ever. And we're trying to build a program. Like, we all got in this thing. We wanted to coach college athletes. A lot of coaches in college don't want to. I've never had NBA opportunities, but like Tom Izzo has, and he stayed in college because he loves 4-year graduation, seeing these kids grow. This is pro sports without a salary cap, without rules and free agency. You are going to see guys probably in the next week or two who have played in the NBA who are going to now play in college. You're going to see that. And what Tom Izzo said I thought was amazing, because when I saw it happen, I'm going, well, maybe we should look into it. But then I'm starting to think, well, I feel bad if I'm bringing a 23-year-old to beat out a guy I just brought in here, but it's cutthroat business, sadly. So I don't think it's necessarily anybody's fault. But I just hope fans understand we're not complaining, but this is the most volatile situation ever right now.
Yeah, I think that was one of Tom's overall points was at the core level of college basketball, you want to win, of course, but also as coaches, you're trying to lead young men from high school careers into college careers and build them up both personally and professionally. And when all of a sudden you start getting into this world with 22, 23-year-olds competing against maybe a really early reclassified 17-year-old, it's almost a different sport.
Yeah.
But it's crazy.
And again, I think Coach Izzo said this. It's not the kids' faults. Like, let's be very, very clear. I don't blame any of them for what they're doing. I actually think a lot of them want an education. They'd rather be a part of 3-4 years or whatever. I think the one thing, and who knows if lawsuits come of it, that I'd love to change is the one-time transfer rule. It's got to go back. Allowing these guys to sit in here and leave whenever they want, is ridiculous. And you could sit there and say, well, you could take another job. No, I cannot. Not without a massive buyout. Okay, because this is a two-way street. Well, they're getting a lot from Xavier. The players are. They're getting a free education. They're getting housing. They're getting food. They're getting free training from a strength and conditioning coach. They're getting free, like a chiropractor, athletic training, coaches, all those things. Like, they're getting a lot. They shouldn't be. That's just not right. That's not fair. And it's also not right for them. They have to learn how to deal with adversity. But I mean, until some rules get put in place, there's nothing we can do about it. And again, as I said, the NCAA tournament's going to happen. The season's going to happen. And I learned this the hard way as a coach. The year that I got fired in Minnesota, there was a pandemic. I never in a million years thought my guys were coming into the facility every day at 7 a.m. and getting swabbed and tested in the dead of winter. And we're practicing with masks on and we're playing in front of no fans and all these restrictions. I remember thinking, like, there's no way they're going to fire me. Like, this is the most bizarre, ridiculous thing ever. If you play the games, they're going to expect you to win, regardless of how insane this whole system is right now. So we're going to have to figure it out as college coaches. I hope to God we just get something in place because there are no rules right now.
Big East Media Day was this week. You get to Madison Square Garden. Now, you've coached in Madison Square Garden before, so being in the building was nothing new for you, but being at Big East Media Day was something new for you. And before you went to Big East Media Day, you were pretty active on social media. So I got to ask you this, because I get asked this question all the time. You run your own Twitter, right?
Yeah.
That is you.
That's me.
Right? I mean, some coaches outsource that.
My dad doesn't run his own Twitter. So I know you're about to ask about my dad.
I was not.
My brother runs my dad's Twitter. And when my dad has like a really dumb tweet, we immediately go to my brother, Chris, like, he's not going to see it. Why'd you tweet that? Just tell him you tweeted it, because he doesn't look at Twitter because, he has some swing and misses. But yes, I do run my own Twitter. I don't have anybody else do it.
But it's fun, I think, for especially Xavier fans, you could see in the replies and the engagement to have their coach, right, be on social media engaging with them. You feel like that's important for you. And
I mean, I don't know if it's important or not. The problem is you get trolls, you get mean-spirited people that are normally like 2%. Yeah. The other 98% love to engage, but the 2% always ruin it for everybody. But I have always been told, I don't know if it really matters, but that people like my Twitter. They like following it. They think it's funny. They get to know me. So I try to, like, I'm not trying to be like Lane Kiffin and troll everybody, but like I try to be somewhat authentic. But I also try not to take it too seriously because, as I said before, like, it's a slippery slope. There's a lot of mean people on there. It can affect your mental health. It really can.
Yeah.
It can make you start to make decisions based on something, and I really try to stay away from that. But I also think like there's good content on Twitter. There really is. Like I see a lot of good basketball stuff on there. I really do. But again, you have to, as a coach, the biggest thing I got to do is have my mind right, and I can't have it clouded by UC fans crapping on me or what. Xavier people do it too, so it's not like UC fans are all bad, but that's a rivalry and all those things. So, yeah, I do it, but I also am very, very careful about what gets to my brain as well.
Deer Park Roofing has been providing elite service for homes and businesses since 1996 and leads the industry in professionalism, quality, and responsiveness. So whether your needs are residential or commercial, Deer Park can handle any job and ensure it's done right. Deer Park's motto is protect what's important, and what's important to you is important to Deer Park Roofing. Visit deerparkroofing.com today. deerparkroofing.com.
Welcome back to the Pitino Show, presented by Deer Park Roofing. Moving here more into the season preview segment of the season preview podcast today. And Coach, we were just talking about Big East Media Day before the break. And so you get to Madison Square Garden, you get to see some of these other coaches that you're familiar with, right, from your time around the coaching ranks. And you could see, going around seeing some of these guys that maybe you haven't seen in a little while. Was it good to be in New York and back?
That's been the difference so far. So I coached in the Sun Belt at FIU. I didn't know any of the coaches. And you're going to like Louisiana Lafayette, Louisiana Monroe, and you're going all over the place, North Texas. And there was not a lot of people I knew. Then I go in the Big Ten. I didn't know Bo Ryan. I didn't know Matt Painter, Chris Holtman in Ohio State, Thad Matta. Like, I got to know all these guys, and they were all great. And then the Mountain West, the same thing. Like, I knew Tim Miles from the previous stop at Nebraska. But I walked into the Garden, and immediately I saw a guy who works for the Big East, and he told me, hey, a buddy of yours from college dog sits for me. And I was like, man, I haven't heard that name in forever. Or, I'm seeing these media guys who I've known legitimately since college. I'm seeing my dad, who's a coach, obviously. Kevin Willard was my dad's assistant coach. Ed Cooley was at Providence. I've known forever. Chris Holtman was obviously at Ohio State when I was in the league. Thad went against Ohio State too. So it's like the familiarity for sure. Shaka Smart was at Florida when I was taking over. Definitely feels different. Yeah.
So the preseason poll came out. Xavier's picked 8th in the preseason poll. Just any reactions to the state of the league and where the league is right now?
Yeah. I mean, again, I think if you look at who are the teams that everybody's talking about, St. John's and UConn. My dad's in year 3. Danny Hurley, I don't know how long he's been there. There's a little bit of continuity. There's a huge level of investment financially into their roster. They're going for it, and you can really, really tell, and you're seeing that return on the investment. Well, then you would think people are going to start talking about Creighton. They've had a history of success. You look at teams like us in Villanova with new coaches, inherit nobody. How would anybody know if we're going to be good or bad? Your assumption should probably be that we're not going to be good because we've got all these new players. I'm really excited about the year. I'm excited about the guys in the locker room. But I also know, like, the answer to winning the Big East is absolutely not signing 12 guys in the transfer portal every single year. If you look at St. John's was picked to win it. Zuby Ejiofor was player of the year. He was there last year, right? UConn, Solo Ball, Alex Caravan. Like, you have to get really good players in your program and retain them. You can't retain players if you only inherit one player who didn't play last year. So we're rebuilding. Doesn't mean we're not going to try to win every single game. I came to Xavier because I want to win the Big East. I want to walk into Madison Square Garden and people talk about Xavier like they're talking about St. John's and UConn right now. It's going to take some time. But yeah, we're so unknown. I don't know how anybody would know if we're going to be good or not.
Yeah. The being in the Big East, being around a community, it's fun hearing you tell some of those stories because you could see it on your face when you're walking around the Big East coach's picture, right? You were on Matt Norlander's show. He asked you how you were going to position yourself. You were right there in the middle. Yeah. So you, Val, and your dad.
Yeah, and I felt weird because I'm like, man, I'm the new guy. I shouldn't be standing right here, but it was like it just kind of happened. But that's not me at all. My dad, he likes to be in the front, but me, I wanted to move away. But I think Thad was next to me, and he kind of like bumped me to the middle. But yeah, I mean, it was, it's really cool. Like I said, my first year at Minnesota, we won the NIT in Madison Square Garden. That was really, really cool. But some of my favorite memories were as an assistant coach winning the Big East tournament. Yeah. And it's hard to sell that to your players because we're so consumed with the NCAA tournament. But man, the Big East tournament is special.
It really is. And I've said it a million times. You can go back and find the clips. I always talk about that Friday night at Madison Square Garden, the Big East semifinal, 4 fan bases vying for a spot in the title game. There's just really nothing like that. And yeah, all of a sudden, boom, you turn the page to Selection Sunday, and sometimes you're already on to the NCAA tournament, but there's nothing like it.
There is nothing better if you know you're comfortably in the NCAA tournament. You got to bye, and you're at Madison Square Garden, so you don't have the weight of the world on your shoulders of like, oh, if I lose this game, we may be out of the NCAA tournament, and you can just go try to win it legitimately. It's one of the best events in all of sports.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the team this year. Some of your overall takeaways before we get into the individuals from the offseason, some players, maybe that have stuck out to you, but just in general, since the last time we talked about this team, we recorded the intro episode to the podcast. Episode 1 was recorded a little bit ago during the offseason, so now here we are with a chance 10 days away from opening day to get your thoughts on the state of the team right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously dealt a bad blow with Gabriel Posado getting hurt. We felt like when we signed him, that would be an impact guy. Injuries happen. I mean, it's part of the deal. Mir also, we really liked over the summer. We thought he was a good piece to the puzzle. Athletically, really a phenomenal athlete getting to the rim, long arms. He's missed some time. He'll be back soon. Will he be ready for the first game? I don't know about that. So you're dealt injuries, which everybody deals with, no excuse there. I thought, again, the Murray State game was so valuable because there was game pressure. And the guy I took away that was ready for the moment, put the ball in the basket, was Trey Carroll. And he's done that in the past. So there's a lot to build off of. I think our guys understand what we're trying to do. What the plan is. I had one of the guys ask me the other day, I watched you guys at New Mexico, and you're running all the same stuff, and you were getting to the rim, and I'm like, well, that was Donovan Dent, one of the best point guards in college basketball. So watch him and see what he does and work on it. But I thought we took a lot from the first exhibition game of Murray and learned from shot selection. I wouldn't say like I'm totally anti mid-range jump shots, but like we want to get to the free throw line, we want to get to the rim, and we want to shoot threes. We were 2 for 15 in the first game, so we're not shooting enough threes. We're not making enough threes. But again, you want to shoot a good percentage. It's not that you want to shoot this insane high volume of threes. I thought the defensive side of it, not bad. They ran some stuff that screwed us up a little bit that we worked on. What I loved was the response coming out of halftime. You put up 44 points in the second half. We made some adjustments offensively. They learned from it. So I thought that game pressure was great for their growth. We know, especially with these guarantee games early, it's just going to be like Murray. Like these teams are going to want to come in here and win and make a statement. And our guys understand that.
I was going to follow up on the 3-point volume. Is that something you'd like to see increased?
I think you got to shoot more than 15. But again, it's all about efficiency. So if we were 8 for 15, I think we're really lucky to have a really cool advanced analytics breakdown of what we do right after the game. And I think our people would say, yeah, 8 for 15 is phenomenal. We don't care how many you shoot. We care about the percentage of makes. So I don't like 2 for 15. That's what I don't like. Do I want to shoot 33s? I don't know, but probably about 25 would be a good number, I think. I thought we shot too many mid-range shots. Phil had like a 1 foot step back. Like, all I thought about was that Patrick Ewing gif of, do you practice that shot? I was going to send that to him. But other than that, much, much better job of putting pressure on the rim.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, that I felt like you could tell offensively, and sometimes it's where you're finally sitting on the same bench and you're all playing on the same team instead of going against each other. It felt like there were some times where it got to the end of the shot clock, and then all of a sudden there was a hand grenade pass to somebody, and you could tell those are situations where guys are going to figure it out, as the season goes along.
Yeah, I think every year that you do it, as the season hits, you're like, man, how could I handle the offseason a little bit better? And I would say the only thing you'd like to do more of leading up to the first game is scrimmage more, get refs and all those things. The hard part is you don't have a lot of subs. Inevitably, you're going to have injuries. So then you're trying to play 2 20-minute halves, and you may have one sub on each bench. Everybody's exhausted. The quality of play gets diminished. So that's the beauty of the first game. But they start to realize, like, we don't have as much control as we do in a game as we do in practice. Sometimes you guys got to go figure it out. We had like some late shot clock possessions that we haven't really had in practice because Murray was doing some different things defensively that's not really part of our base. They were in a deep drop coverage. We didn't do a great job as a coaching staff for preparing them for that. So all good things, though, to realize, like, every opponent's not going to play like us. You go against us for the most part. So trying to cover as many different coverages in practice as you can. But it was all really good. It's nice to be on the same team.
Yeah.
That's the hard part of the offseason. The players think you're the ref. They think you're against them, all those things. So it's really, really cool to kind of be part of one team.
Deer Park Roofing has been providing elite service for homes and businesses since 1996 and leads the industry in professionalism, quality, and responsiveness. So whether your needs are residential or commercial, Deer Park can handle any job and ensure it's done right. Deer Park's motto is, protect what's important. And what's important to you is important to Deer Park Roofing. Visit deerparkroofing.com today. deerparkroofing.com.
Gabriel Pizzato, you mentioned he tore his ACL. We're going to be talking to him here in just a minute.
He better not have torn his ACL.
Oh my God, no, he didn't tear his ACL. He tore his meniscus.
Yeah.
ACL, that would be a
problem.
Disaster. Yeah, no, did not tear his ACL. He tore his meniscus.
Yeah.
Any injury update timeline on that? I don't want to put you on the spot, but just to kind of get an update.
It's all going well, but it normally goes well, right?
Yeah.
I always like when people release the statement of the surgery was successful. Like, how many of these surgeries are not successful? So he's progressing. He's working hard. You hate it for the kid. He loves basketball. He's got a great attitude. I think the timeline is late December, early January, but like, in my mind, like, I'm not even thinking about that. I don't know his body. I want him to feel mentally and physically ready to go. So we'll see. You want him. Yeah, we want him to play for us, but we want him to be ready.
And Mir Panome is one of the most athletic players on this team. He had, I believe it was a broken foot, broken toe.
Yeah.
And seems like he's progressing well.
Yeah, he will. He'll start easing into practice. I would say, and again, I'm not a doctor, don't hold me to it, but I would guess doubtful for the first game. But then I think, Lemoyne and then Santa Clara, like, I think by then he should be ready to go. A lot of energy, high-level athlete. It'll be nice, certainly, to have him back.
Has there been anybody in the preseason that has stood out to you as, I wasn't expecting him to have such a good preseason and he's really come on strong?
I think Jovan probably had a terrific preseason.
That was going to be my pick, too.
Horrendous versus Murray State. So that just shows you why those games are good, because high level of confidence in practice. I spoke to him about it yesterday, and he had kind of said, I was a little nervous, which is great. You want that. But I would say I'm not surprised by it, because I thought he had a really good freshman year for an NCAA tournament team last year. I know he's going to make a jump. But he's also got new surroundings and new teammates and all those things. But if you had to say gun to my head, who had, who, I don't know if surprise is the right word, but I thought he had a really good, consistent offseason.
Yeah, you came over after practice on a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about some of the guys, and Jovan had a phenomenal practice. And to me, what has stood out about him is, I knew he was a good shooter, but he has been exceptional in some practices this year, knocking down shots from the perimeter.
Yeah. And with Jovan, no offense to Jovan, but he's not going to be one of those guys that goes and gets his. So the better our offense is, the better it's going to be for him, but he needs the other guys to execute properly. Like, I think he was 0 for 4 in the Murray game. I don't know how many of those shots were good looks. And that was more a breakdown of what we're trying to do offensively, because he should not be put in that position. He missed 2. I think 2 of the 4 were good looks that we had kind of a pin down. He was open, but then the other 2, like, he was trying to do things that's just not his game. But yeah, he can really, really shoot. He's got a high level of skill.
Roddy Anderson, you could see it on his face before the game. I talked to him before in warm-ups, and he was just, you could see how excited he was to finally be out there and playing after a year where you go through shoot-around and then that's it. Your day is done. How has his offseason been, and what are your takeaways from Roddy?
Well, the crazy thing that Roddy did, and nobody does this, Roddy was, and I know this because I was in the league, Roddy was a key player on an NCAA tournament team, like an at-large bid team.
Yeah.
And he leaves to go to Xavier, sits out. He did not need to sit out. Maybe at Xavier, I don't know what their plan was for him. He could have gone somewhere else and played right away, but he works incredibly hard. He's committed to it, and he decided to sit out. That never happens anymore. So I'm sure he was foaming at the mouth and fired up to play. He's unique on our team because I don't know how many great breakdown one-on-one guys we have. And he's got the most speed and quickness. Now, you get out of control a little bit at times, and a lot of those smaller, fast guards can do that. But he brings an added dimension that we do need. He's just got to kind of figure out the balance of how to play that well, but in that style, because Boise was different. Boise was methodical. They were slow, effective and productive, but totally different than the way we're trying to play.
I talked to Anthony Robinson at Media Day, and I was asking him about what maybe some of the surprises were about playing for you and what he expected versus what he's actually seen. And he was kind of smiling when he said, I knew we were going to play fast, but being out there in the game, I realized how fast it really was. He had a couple of dunks. He had a lob. He had one on his own, kind of on a breakaway. You could see the athleticism right away from Anthony, and I'm really, really excited to see what he brings to the table because he has youth, but he also has a ton of potential.
Yeah. He's a perfect example of, like, if we could keep him here for 3 more years, three total years, can you imagine the player that he can become? He is a redshirt sophomore who hardly played last year. Got in all types of foul trouble the first game, so it's really hard to judge anything. But he comes from a slow system at Virginia, comes to us where we were top 20 in pace every year at New Mexico. I think what I'm trying to get our guys to understand is, like, I want to play fast. That doesn't necessarily mean I want to shoot fast. I just want to attack early, see what we can get, and then let the game come to you. Ant needs to understand we treat everything offensively like it's a miss. So if they score, we're running the ball up the court. If they miss, we're running the ball up the court. A lot of the time, he's that rim runner, and he's the first option. And you got to run hard to do that.
Pop, let's stay on the bigs here. Pop, how's his offseason been?
I think good. Yeah, I think, awesome kid. Language barrier is still a little bit of a thing, although he knows how to say the F word, as we know in this podcast. But getting him to understand, because he's such a good guy, like, sometimes I think as a coach, you think he understands what he really doesn't understand. Like, we were in practice the other day and we were working on icing ball screens, which is downing ball screens, keeping it on the side. And I sit in the middle of the drill like, Pop, do you know what ice means? And he goes, like ice cream? I'm like, no, we're not going to ice cream a ball screen. We're going to down the ball screen. But you take it for granted. Like, he's not been in this country a long, long time. But it also helps as a coach because like you got to slow down, you got to teach, you got to break down. But another young guy, if he sticks with us and we stick with him, like I think he's going to be a really good player.
Yeah, Malik Moore, a 40% three-point shooter in 2 of his first 3 years. And his sophomore year, I think he was 36, 37%. So he's been a consistent shooter and would probably be maybe the best shooter on this team just statistically coming into this year. Only has 1 year left, but you can tell is somebody that's fluid. He understands the game. He passes well. He shoots well. Didn't have a great shooting day the other day, but somebody that feels to me like you're going to lean on a lot this year.
Yeah, I think fluid is the right word. Like just plays under control. There's nothing he really can't do. I mean, does he have deficiencies like every player? Sure, but like he can dribble, he can pass, he could shoot, he can defend, he can get to the rim, he can shoot a mid-range, he can make a three. So yeah, I mean, we've tinkered with. I change lineups a lot in practice, drill to drill, day to day, and I've looked at him at the 1, I've looked at him at the 2, the 3. Like I love the versatility that he provides. He's got game experience. He's got NCAA tournament experience. He's just got a way about him on the court that's calming. So yeah, very, very happy that he's here. And in order for us to do what we want to do, he needs to have a big year for us.
We're next week, next Monday, as you all are listening to this right now, which will be opening night of the college basketball season. We're going to start our player introduction series, which will take us through the next several weeks of content here. We'll meet every player on this show, and we've recorded a lot of them already. And maybe one of my favorite ones was Phillip, because you could tell you guys had a prior relationship at New Mexico. He was comfortable with you. You were comfortable with him, the way you guys were kind of going back and forth on some things. And I love his personality. I love what he brings to this team and some familiarity with your coaching style. Have you seen that translate through the offseason?
Yeah, definitely. Like I wish Donovan Dent and True Washington came with us as well. But if I could have chosen 2 guys out of that locker room who had eligibility to come with us, no better 2 guys than Phillip and Jovan, who believe in me, believe in my system, know that I'm going to push them and make them better, but I'm never going to lie to them. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, I don't play a lot of games with the guys, whether it's going behind their back and, like it's a culture of truth. They also know like we can have fun together, like we can laugh together, they can talk to me. They don't have to be scared of me, and they had great success, and there's no better compliment as a coach in this insane world that we're living in when 2 guys, one's from Serbia, comes to Albuquerque, one's from Canada, comes to Albuquerque, and then they decide that we're bought into what you're doing. We're going to go to Ohio. Like that's a cool moment. So Phillip's a funny kid. Thinks he knows the game of basketball very, very well.
Oh, you can tell.
And I love arguing with him on it. Like it's hilarious because he refuses to be told that he is wrong. But I love that banter with him.
Okay, the rest of the group, Isaiah Walker, all right. A couple of guys we haven't talked about. Just the rest of this team, as we wrap up this show here, are there some other things to look out for, names maybe we haven't mentioned? Just overall things that you're looking for going.
Yeah, I mean, Isaiah Walker's a really interesting one because, we use advanced analytics to evaluate the transfer portal. And every player gets a score, a grade, like a Madden score type deal. And, there's things that are proven of, okay, if you have this many 80s or 90s, like you're a lock for the NCAA tournament. And, I told our people, well, yeah, those people cost a lot of money in the portal. So figuring out, can you get a guy with a good score that you can afford and that you feel like can really bring great value? And when you look at an Isaiah Walker, you go, okay, like he just always seems to be in the mix on a good team. He always seems to be getting a deflection. He always seems to be getting a loose ball or a rebound. When I was watching film on him out of Belmont, it's the same thing in practice. Like his jump shot's a little different looking. It's more of a set shot. he makes it. You know, he just finds a way to get a loose ball, and he's got high level of substance as a person. So the first thing that I took from the exhibition game was I needed to play Isaiah and all more. And I told him that after the game. I said, be ready for the next one, because I'm going to make sure you guys play more, because you deserve more than what you got. I feel like with Isaiah, he's just going to be one of those guys where maybe you don't notice him all the time, and all of a sudden you look at the box score after the game, you're like, oh, yeah, he had 8 rebounds, and he had 10 points and 3 steals, and he's just got that type of game.
Yeah. All right, I'll ask you about Marist here, and I'm not going to put you on the spot to ask you specifics, because we'll just kind of look at this from a 30,000-foot view. But Marist, Lemoyne, Santa Clara to start the season, this first chunk of games, what do you hope you learn in this first stretch of the season before you go to Iowa?
I hope we're 3-0. I know nothing about Marist. I know nothing about Lemoyne. I haven't even started watching them. I know a lot about Santa Clara. We scrimmaged them last year. Herb Sendek's one of my dad's old assistants. They have slowly gotten to a point where they're really, really competitive, and they're really invested in that program. That's not going to be an easy game. I don't know if Marist or Lemoyne. I have no idea. But I can promise you Santa Clara is coming into this building expecting to win. So we're going to have to be ready. November 3rd, I can't wait. I came here because I believe in the Xavier fan base, the Xavier tradition, this building on campus. I've mentioned it before, but I was not leaving the pit in New Mexico unless I knew there was a built-in fan base that cared, because I just know the energy and the momentum they can provide for us. So I've not looked at Marist yet. I've been locked in on our secret scrimmage and our team, but I'll turn the page here very, very soon.
All right, last question for you. As you get here to coach your first game inside the Cintas Center, this is your 4th new head coaching job. What are some of the things that you remember, you think about, you've learned from, to where you remember, okay, this happens on opening night, maybe I wasn't expecting this?
Oh, man, great question. I would say the one thing I think I told my wife was after our exhibition game was, man, I should have enjoyed the offseason more. Why didn't I go golfing or do trips? Because
the invite was always open, Coach. I would have loved it.
You get so consumed with the transfer portal, and you get consumed with building this culture, and you forget to enjoy the offseason a little bit, because, man, when the lights go on and you're on that sideline and you can't blow the whistle and stop it, it just feels different. But every job is different. FIU was nobody really cared. It was like the 3 of us in the building, but it was kind of fun in that way. There was no real external pressure. Then you go to the Big Ten, and all of a sudden now it's like every game's on TV, and the camera's following you around. So now you gotta know how to act on the sideline, right? Then the pit was like this iconic building, and walking down that ramp, and you're looking around like, man, this program means a lot to these people. They're spending their hard-earned money to come to these games. I can't let them down. That was the weight that I had on my shoulders. And I think it's the same with Xavier. I'm out as much as I possibly can in this community to meet people and to be around my kids and drive them to whatever after work. I meet Xavier people, and they're just like, this place means so much to me. And we know, because there's no football, that we can impact this school in a positive way if we're good. You look at all these other schools with similar profiles, Villanova's, Gonzaga's, St. John's right now with what they're doing. I understand that responsibility. So when I walk out of that tunnel and onto the court, I know all eyeballs are on me. Maybe I didn't know that early in my career. They're all watching me to see what I'm, is he going to scream and yell and swear? And, they all want to see how I'm going to act. Yeah. So I'm aware of that. But I also know, I appreciate them. I hope I hope our fans understand that. However many 10,000 show up November 3rd, I promise you, I'm trying to represent you the right way, because you deserve that. And I'm trying to win at the highest level possible.
Well, Coach, if you need me to remind you to play golf next offseason, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, I'm not very good. I've kind of lost my game. I played more in Minnesota. I didn't play a lot in New Mexico, and that's the one game. If you don't play a lot, you are toast. So hopefully if we can get the train on the tracks here, maybe I can take a deep breath. But I didn't do a lot this year, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, Coach, best of luck to you on opening night as we get this season rolling. I know everybody's excited and ready to go for the season. So best of luck to you as we get started here at Xavier for the college basketball season, November 3rd. Opening night, Xavier and Marist right here at the Cintas Center. Make sure, again, if you haven't already, you subscribe to the show, because from here over the next several weeks, we've sat down with every player on this team to get to know them, to get to tell their story. Next week, it'll be Trey Carroll as we kick off this player introduction series. But we've been recording those, and it's been a lot of fun to hear some of these guys, where they've came from, everything like that, their basketball career. So all of that is upcoming. Subscribe to the show, YouTube, podcast platforms, all that good stuff. Talk to you next time. This has been the Pitino Show, presented by Deer Park Roofing.